I watched Karoline Leavitt's press briefing today, so you don't have to, and here's my overview. All right, she spoke for like 35 minutes. She mentioned Biden 14 times, and this was one of her opening lines. Democrats are intentionally hurting American families, workers, and businesses with this shutdown to fight for free healthcare for illegal aliens and to appease their radical left-wing base. It is a disgrace. This one's actually quite funny, and it's broken into two sections. First, her prepared speech, and then her answering questions afterwards. And I will tell you when I make the transition, but also know it'll come right after I insult her outfit. Okay, so right after lying about what the Democrats want in the shutdown, she says that all of the flight delays that are happening are the faults of Democrats, because if they would just open the government back up, then the air traffic controllers would get paid. But she tries to be like, but we love all the air traffic controllers. And then she almost gets it, but she's way off, because she says there's a group of hotels and casinos and convention bureaus who all signed a letter saying that we're not making enough money, and that makes us really sad. As if the American people fucking care that casinos don't make enough money. I swear to God, a letter written by casinos and hotels and convention bureaus is what she brought up is why the American people should care about this shutdown. It's fascism. Okay, I put this in my notes. I forgot my Biden counter at the top, and then she did a Joe Biden, and I immediately threw it back up. And then we got to 14 of them, so crazy. She throws out this line just being like, we need 5 brave Democrats to put country over party, even though that's what they are actively doing. And then she tries to casually throw out this line. She's like, in other news, tomorrow is Big Daddy's re-election birthday, where he got 80 million votes in all of the swing states and the popular vote. That we call sycophancy. I almost include this at the beginning, but it would have taken too long to go over. But she gives a list of the accomplishments that Donald Trump has achieved in his first 10 months, and they are as followed. He signed a middle-class tax cut saying no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. Every American watching this right now, you to this day are still paying taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. If you can prove me wrong, I will delete my account and send you every penny I've ever made on it. She said he ended the southern border invasion of the Biden administration. I personally didn't know we were being invaded, but apparently we were. She said that he's doing the largest mass deportations in the history of the United States. Now, not only have Democrat presidents before him, that being Obama and Biden, done larger mass deportations than what he's doing right now, and you can just check that using the CBP data that's available online. He also bragged about how FDR, I think it was, did even larger mass deportations in the past. She said that he's taking on the drug cartels by blowing them up. That's the way that he's doing it, and she is totally good with that. She said that he defeated the Biden inflation crisis and that he is so pro-growth. But then she says also there is inflation. She says that real wages are going to rise. It hasn't happened yet, but they're going to, as an accomplishment that he's achieved in his first 10 months. She said that he ended the war on American energy and released American energy dominance. And her example of this, gas is cheaper. A little bit, but not really. He implemented powerful tariffs and returned you to working in factories once again. Now, she doesn't say you're working in factories once again. She just says we have manufacturing jobs, which is working in factories as a general rule. She says that we receive trillions and trillions of dollars. Now, this is something that other people in the administration just don't want to admit because they don't want to get sued later when they know that they were lying about it. But she has gone way past that point. She is willing to take whatever is coming to her after this. And you know what? Good for her. She said that he ended 8 wars and counting. Her words. She said that he ended the illegal DEI and returned us to a merit-based system and common sense. Now, of course, the merit-based system would be him being the most unqualified president of all time, and also then filling his administration with some of the most unqualified people of all time, because he already blew through all of the people who were willing to be somewhat sycophantic at the beginning of his first administration, and now he has no one left. She said that he kept men out of women's sports. Okay. And then she said he worked tirelessly, literally 24/7. So she either doesn't know what the word tirelessly means or doesn't know what the term 24/7 means. It is one or the other. Okay, and her shoulder pads were on full display today. I wrote in my notes, her blouse looked like an 80s suburban mom on girls' night throwback, which is probably how she lives her life anyways. Now to the questions. She gets asked, should Antifa be considered a foreign terrorist organization as well as a domestic terrorist organization? I don't know what reporter asked this, but I do believe they were trolling her to say, hey, it doesn't even exist as a domestic organization, but would you like to also put international sanctions on? And she was like, excellent question. We're looking into that. She also mispronounces Mamdani and then says that Democrats stand for nothing. She says like Ma'am Danny or something like that. She gets asked, hey, the president this morning said that he's not going to give out any SNAP benefits until the radical left Democrats open up the government. But you said yesterday that the administration is going to adhere to any court rulings, including the one saying that you have to give out SNAP benefits. What's up with that? And she goes, we're in the process of complying with the courts, but it's going to take a long time because the Democrats. And then later, she says that he's referring to future payments, not the payments that are supposed to be made as a result of the court order. She says they've been very transparent with them illegally blowing up people in boats with no proof, and says that Trump says that the water is littered with drug dust afterwards, and that's all the proof you need. And I may have added that second part. Although he did say that, she just didn't say that he said that. A very smart reporter asked, hey, Trump was the one who signed the bill that said that if government employees are furloughed, that they would get back pay. Is he going to stick to that? And she says, I'm not going to answer that. And then she doubles down on that when pressed later, and then triples down by cutting off another follow-up question. And then she gets asked, what is Trump doing to open up the government? And she says nothing. He's just telling Republicans to change nothing. Basically, they're coming in with, we told them from the beginning we're not going to negotiate, and they're unwilling to back down. And then she will later in this press conference double and triple down again on the fact that they will not back down or make any concessions to the Democrats. Oh yeah, and then she says again, all we need are 5 common sense Democrats. Just look at John Fetterman. My God, is she out of touch. She gets asked about the fact that Trump already said this morning that the voting in California was fraudulent. What are you going to say about that? And she says, the White House is working on an executive order to strengthen voting, and that California is doing mail-in voter fraud, and that there is definitely fraud. That is a fact. And then she said she's happy to provide the evidence after the press briefing, which of course she's not going to do because she has none. And then she says that illegal aliens are voting because she is just the worst type of white woman. She uses the word any here. She says that any executive order that the president signs is legal within the confines of the law. Anything. Dude, this one was so hilarious. She gets asked, hey, Trump's first term phone got taken, and also they subpoenaed all of the phone records that he has. Do you have anything to say about that? And she goes, I swear to God, after having bragged about all of his accomplishments in 10 months, she says, it's the weaponization of the DOJ by the Biden government that is making this happen today. I swear to God, she says that. She says that we may be attacking Nigeria, but she just doesn't have any further announcements on that. But she wants you to know that the president is watching that very closely. And then she says, remember when the president celebrated Diwali? She gets asked a question about Prime Minister Modi, and she's like, the president celebrated Diwali with a bunch of Indian Americans. Hoofda. She gets asked about Secretary Duffy saying that some flights might be canceled or ground as a result of the lack of air traffic controllers. And she immediately goes into, well, if it wasn't for all the Democrats, we wouldn't have to be dealing with any of this. Oh my God, it's pathetic how whiny she is. She said that Americans need to call their Democratic representatives and make it very clear that they want the government reopened. I'm going to make my position very clear here as if I've not already done it 1,000 times. This government must not reopen until the Republicans are willing to negotiate on healthcare for Americans. Healthcare is a guaranteed right if you have a fucking conscience. And so you should also be fighting for Americans to have free healthcare, but the best we can do right now is subsidize. So let's at least get subsidized healthcare. Dude, this one is also hilarious. She gets asked, what is Trump going to do aside from posting on Truth Social? Is he going to go up to the Hill? Is he going to lobby with more people? Part of her answer, I swear to God, was keep your eye on Truth Social, and Republicans just need to stay tough. She gets asked, why did Trump pardon some crypto CEO that he doesn't even know according to him? And she says that the White House takes very seriously their pardons. And then she says, he said he was going to pardon people who were prosecuted by the Biden weaponized DOJ, and he's just keeping to that promise. And she says that he ended the Biden war on crypto, which again, another war, I just don't remember it. This one, remember for later. She gets asked, what are you going to do if the tariff case doesn't go your way in the Supreme Court? And she says, we have a plan B, but it's definitely going to go our way. And then she says, of course, that Trump has brought in trillions of dollars with the tariff, which I will remind you again is just your money. And then she says that we're going to reduce the deficit this year by $600 billion. Just remember that for your records later. She gets asked, are we going to send troops into Mexico? And she says, I don't know. I'm going to make this very clear for every politician who's out there, even though this might help some Republicans. Unless you are really, really unsure and there is a slight possibility that you might, the answer is no. Are you going to send troops to Nigeria? No. Are you going to send troops to Israel? No. Are you going to send troops to Iran? No. Are you going to send troops to Mexico? No, it's so simple. And then finally, the last thing she said that was absolutely hilarious. She said that Trump is very well read. And one person to thank. This person says, freeloader of your content. Enjoy from Millie. They sent a book, Invisible Man. Thank you, Millie. I really appreciate it.